Again, Gills fans and fans of League Two up and down the country, and welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is that time. We are sat here recording Saturday, 23rd of July. It's just gone 6 o'clock. Most teams have now finished their pre-season campaign. The Gills have just wrapped theirs up at Roots Hall with a win against Southend United, but we'll get onto that a little bit later in the video. But that means it's season preview time. Obviously, the bulk of this episode will be regarding the Gills, being my club for obvious reasons. We'll break it down into various categories. We're going to have a look at summer business, the squad overall, pre-season results and performances. We're going to have a look at who potentially could be the Gills' top scorer next season, who could be a key player, who perhaps might go under the radar. Obviously, we'll have a chat about where Gills are going to finish, and then we'll have a look at League Two as a whole. Who's going to finish in the top three, who's going to fill them playoff spaces, and unfortunately at the bottom two, who is going to suffer the ignominy of being relegated back into the National League. First up, let's have a look at the Gills transfer incoming so far. We knew it was going to be another massive overhaul of the squad after our relegation from League One back into the basement division on the final day of the 21-22 season. So far, we've brought in 11 new additions, but unfortunately, Ashley Maynard-Brewer did suffer a dislocated shoulder in only his second appearance at Dover, and he has been sent back to Charlton, we think. So he will be out till Christmas. So we are in the situation where we do need to find another goalkeeper. But the 10 that have come in on top of Maynard-Brewer, going to do it in position order. We'll start with Jake Turner. A lot of people said that Maynard-Brewer would potentially be the number one, highly rated at Charlton. But Jake Turner's done absolutely fine for me in the games that I've seen. I've not seen all of them. We've played 6 pre-season friendlies in terms of first team games. Luton was a behind closed doors game. I missed Folkestone and I didn't go to Southend, but I have seen us away at Dover and then the 2 home fixtures against League One Portsmouth and Premier League outfit Crystal Palace. And I think Turner's been absolutely fine. Whether he ends up being the number one come this time next Saturday or 3 p.m. next Saturday against Wimbledon when we kick off our campaign at Plough Lane remains to be seen. But we certainly need another keeper in to compete with Turner, but for me, been solid enough so far and looks a really decent bit of business. Really young. Colchester fans were disappointed he didn't go back there. Moving into the defence, Will Wright came in from Dagenham and Redbridge. Plenty of experience at that level, about 150 games at 24 years of age, has been their captain. And that was key for me, leadership skills that we lacked last season all over the park, aside from probably Carl Dempsey before he left and Stuart O'Keefe. Can play right back, can play centre back, Will Wright. Looks like he lined up on the right-hand side of a back three today for a period of time. So versatility will be key. Another right-back, Shay Alexander, released by Wimbledon at the back end of last season. Neil Harris has had him in on trial for a period of time. I saw him at Dover, wasn't quite sure. Didn't think he was athletic, vibrant enough to be a right-back. But I guess it depends what Neil wants from his fullbacks. If he wants them just to tuck in and be solid and be defensive primarily, then absolutely fine. Watched him in a couple of the home games, Portsmouth and Crystal Palace, and he did okay. He's not going to come up against opposition of Crystal Palace's calibre throughout the season unless we do well in the Cups, let's put it that way. So yeah, looks like a solid bit of business, and it's great for us because I can't remember the last time where we had 2 out-and-out experienced fullbacks on the right-hand side of our defence. So good bit of business. We move into the middle. Elkan Baggott, highly rated by Ipswich Town fans. Just recently signed a new 3-year contract it was. But yeah, has arrived on a season-long loan from the Tractor Boys. Watched him at Dover on debut. Cost us the first goal. Let's not pretend otherwise. He tried to overplay. He got caught by the centre-forward who nipped it off him and went through and scored at the second attempt after Jake Turner had made a good save from the initial effort. But for me, Baggott was a lot better against Crystal Palace, which is a good sign. For me, his best pre-season performance that I've seen was against the highest calibre of opposition that we faced. He kept things simple. He didn't try to overplay. He is good with his feet and he looks decent for a centre-back in terms of size and athleticism. Portsmouth, I thought he just made his decision a little slowly, whether to go and try and pinch the ball or go with his man, and he did neither, and by that time the bloke was away from him. But yeah, Crystal Palace at home, really, really good. Comes with loads of potential. Comes with risks as well. That's what loan signings are about, isn't it? We move further over to the left-hand side. Another loan addition. That's the 2 that we've got in the squad at the moment, and that's Ryan Law. Played 15 games, I think, for Plymouth last season as they chased down the League One playoffs, only missing out on the final day, which is a really good sign. A lot of Plymouth fans have come and said He'll be good at League Two level. Think he can fill in as a left midfielder as well. So I wonder if Neil Harris thinks that type of versatility almost swayed his decision. The fact that he can push further on, give us a real option down the entire left-hand side, regardless of what system we play. Made his debut at home to Crystal Palace. Took a while to get going. One really good ball into the box early on that Scott Kashkit failed to control. But yeah, it looks solid enough, but can't really go on just an hour so far. Like I say, didn't go to Southend Saturday, today, depending on when you're watching this. And he came on at half-time, I think, and by all accounts did okay. We go further forward into the middle of the park. Sean Williams, don't really need to say too much about him. Knows Neil Harris from his time at Millwall. Loads of experience, Championship, League One, international level. 35, 36 now. But the games I've seen adds that composure, that left-footed option in the middle of the park. Really aware defensively, really aware in general play of his surroundings. And yeah, looks like a clever bit of business. As long as we can keep him fit enough to play, say, 35 plus games, then I think he'll have a real influence, especially on the younger members of the squad. Someone like the next signing, Dom Jeffries, comes in. Was at Newport, Cardiff as a youngster. I say youngster, he's still only a youngster. Then went to Brentford, signed there and played in their B team. Was their captain last season, played over 40 times. I think contributed something like 12 goals and assists in total, which is really promising. And that led to him winning their Player of the Year award in the B team. Captain, again, all right at a different level. We're not saying that B team football's the same as senior football in League Two. It's not, it's completely different, but it's another good string to the bow. Came on at Dover. Went from the sublime to the ridiculous for me. Was pinging really good balls from the middle of the park, left and right, and then at other times he'd have a poor touch and the game would pass him by, but we have to bear with him. It's his first foray into proper men's football on a regular basis. Portsmouth, I don't think he started, but he got his opportunity against Crystal Palace. And again, he took a while to get going. But the thing that I like about Jeffries is, regardless of the opposition, regardless of the player, he's willing to go toe-to-toe with people, willing to put his foot in. There was one little episode, handbags, with Wilf Zaha in that Crystal Palace game, and I thought, I've got no problem with that, Dom Jeffries, as long as he doesn't cross the line like someone like Daniel Phillips did last season and led to him being sent off on 3 occasions. Then I like that bit of bite. I like that bit of, wanting to get in the face of opposition and stop them doing what they want to do. But there was a mutual respect, I think, after the game. But yeah, Jeffries has shown fleeting moments that he could be a good addition. We go to the other side now, start looking at the wide options. Jordan Green has come in on a free transfer. Was at Dulwich Hamlet last season. Had been playing Sunday League football for a couple of seasons for South East Dons. I think you can find them on YouTube. Has been with us all summer. Scored against Folkestone. Like I say, didn't go. Poacher's goal, I believe, after the ball had come off the keeper. Watched him at Dover. First 2 things I noticed: direct running, pace, wanting to get in behind. Well, that's 3. Something we lacked all last season as we got relegated. The injuries to Mustafa Carriol, Danny Lloyd didn't help, I get that, but we were so narrow, we were so predictable, we were so slow. Jordan Green, anything but. Superb against Portsmouth. Got 1 shot off first half. Terrorised whoever the left-sided centre-back was. And I think it was someone in their first team squad, I can't remember the name. But yeah, another player, no fear. We have to remember, yes, he's coming from non-league. Yes, he was playing Sunday League a couple of years ago. But this is a player who's got such pedigree that he went into the Championship a few years back with Barnsley. It didn't quite work out and he fell out of love with the game. But what he's done is he's gone back to his roots, gone right back to the bottom to discover that love. And I really do think that this could be a really astute piece of business from what I've seen in the pre-season game so far. Absolutely unplayable at times against Crystal Palace. And this was against the Crystal Palace side that had the likes of Mark Gay, Riedeveld, in their back line, and he tied Riedeveld in knots second half. Like I say, was pretty much unplayable. Created the first goal, jinking run into a dangerous area, got the ball into the box before Joe Gabodi's shot was charged down. That led to Ollie Lee's back heel into the empty net, and then he was twisting and turning again, won a penalty against James MacArthur. So it wasn't like he was up against, just the Folkestones and the Dovers of this world, no disrespect to them. He was going toe-to-toe and taking on these players that have played Premier League, played League One, and he looked a real threat. So yeah, looks a real find at the moment, Jordan Green. The other side is a player who has loads of ability, loads of pace, was very good for Wickham a few seasons ago at this level in League Two when they got promoted. Played a part in their promotion winning season into the Championship as well. That COVID hit campaign has been hit with injuries, which is a bit of a concern. But pleased to say that he was involved in the winning goal today with a driving run and cut back for Mika Mandron. That's the last signing, we'll talk about him. But yeah, Scott Cashgit, I think if we can keep him fit, it could be a real asset. If you've got him and Green either side, we're going to get him behind, we're going to stretch teams. And I think, yeah, that'll really do Cashgit the world of good today, getting that assist, because I think all the attention had been on Jordan Green. The thing that I've been really impressed though with both of them is the way that they've worked out of possession. It seems that we're going to line up with one lone striker at the moment. So it looks like it'll be a variation of 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-1-1 with and without the ball. I imagine it'd be two banks of four when we're out of possession, which means that Cashgit and Jordan Green are going to have to run towards their own goal and help out their fullbacks, which they've done superbly well throughout pre-season. And then obviously they can get higher up the pitch and go and affect games when we are in possession. But yeah, Scott Cashgit signing number 9. And the final one, I'm just giving it away, big Mika Mandron. Well, I'm not giving it away, it's not a secret. We all know he's playing for us. Really surprised with this one, I must admit. I thought there was talk on Twitter and social media of him staying in League One. There was a couple of transfer pages, we all know what they're like, saying Shrewsbury, Burton, which I think would have fitted. He had 2 decent seasons with Crew Alexander after leaving us in the summer of 2020. They finished mid-table in the first season. Mika was up there, the Railway Men. Second season, not so good. He missed a period through injury. But similarly to Verdane Oliver, who's still their top scorer, still got to 10, 11 goals, I think it was, in a poor side. A side that was poorer than us last season, which took some doing. But yeah, I think it's a really good signing. I think he's a better player than when we had him 3 years ago. I think he's probably, and I love Verdane Oliver, but probably slightly more refined in his all-round game than Big V was. I think he's better with his feet, linking play on the floor. Whether he's as good as V in the air, probably not. But he scored with his head today against Southend, or yesterday, depending on when I've put this out. I'm confident he'll score 15 goals if he stays fit and gets the right service. And he'll be a focal point. Neil Harris has always played with teams with a focal point. If you look at his Millwall side, Steve Morrison with a smaller one off him or from the side. So Matt Smith, I think, as well, might have been there during Harris's tenure. Cardiff, he played with a big man up front as well. Obviously, we had Verdane last season, but we were limited because it wasn't his squad. But yeah, Mika Mandron, I think, is a really clever bit of business. So we have to give credit to Neil Harris, to Dave Livermore and to the chairman, Paul Scally. I think all 10 signings so far are going to offer us something. Still think we're a bit short, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, really impressed with the summer business so far. In terms of how we're looking in the squad overall, we're up to 18 players now by my calculations. I'm not including Matty MacArthur in that group. I know he was very good against Chatham Friday night, scored a couple of really good goals, which is really pleasing to see. And there wouldn't be a happier Gills fan than me to see more youngsters come through and have an impact in the first team. We all know we enjoyed singing it. He's one of our own, to Bradley Dack a few years ago, fleetingly for Darren Oldacre, although it didn't quite work out, but he's now working his way back up the football pyramid. Jack Tucker, before moving on in the summer. It'd be great, wouldn't it, the likes of Matty MacArthur, Joe Gabodi, if we could see them break into the first team and have an impact. Bailey Akehurst as well. So I'm not including MacArthur. I think there is potential there, but I am going to temper that enthusiasm with 2 words, Liam Nash, 2 words, Darren Oldacre. We saw them have very good games at Chatham in a pre-season game 5 years ago. It didn't work out for either of them, really, did it? Let's be honest. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on Matty MacArthur. Not saying he's not a good player. Not saying he couldn't become a very good player. But we just need to be careful. Let's not raise expectations too high with these youngsters. But the 18 we have got, I'm fairly comfortable with. We've obviously spoken about Jack Turner, Will Wright, Shay Alexander, Elkan Baggott. Max Emart is still with us. He's been a bit stop-start in pre-season. Thought he was decent enough against Crystal Palace, against a very good side. All right, he got twisted and turned in knots by Will Saha. But Will Saha's going to do that to plenty of footballers that are better than Max Emart coming during the coming season. So I'm not going to read too much in that. David Tatonda, Bailey Akehurst are still with us. Bailey signed a new contract. Might go out on loan now that we've got Ryan Law in. Tatonda, though, has been bright in pre-season. Looks a better player. He was very inconsistent last season, wasn't he? He'd have a period where he just looked like he never played the game, and then he'd play himself into form and unfortunately pick up an injury and then have to start all over again. But if we can get some good coaching to him on the training pitch, then I think he might be all right in League One. I think he's going to be competing predominantly with Ryan Law. So we'd have to see what happens with Bailey Akehurst. We've already mentioned Jordan Green. Stuart O'Keefe's missed the last couple with a knee problem. Fingers crossed that's not too mid to long term. We need him on the pitch, our captain, alongside Sean Williams and or Dom Jeffries. Cash kit we've mentioned. Alex McDonald still working his way back to full fitness. Didn't get on against Southend, so it might be an indication that he's probably not going to be involved opening day at Wimbledon. I'm not saying he's not going to be on the bench, but I'd imagine we're only going to have to use him if we really need to at the moment, because he has been out for a long time. Neil's managed his workload in terms of just giving him half hours here and there through pre-season. Macca knows that he's a long way off being back to where he should be, but it's great to have him back in around the changing room, in and around the squad. We all know just from seeing him play, watching him on iFollow, what an infectious character he is, and it's great to have him available, albeit probably fleetingly at the moment. Ollie Lee, Ben Reeves look like they're going to compete to play in the 10. Ollie Lee's had a fantastic pre-season, hasn't he? Scored at Folkestone, a couple of goals against Palace, scored against Portsmouth as well, didn't he? He was on the bench at Southend, so good to see Ben Reeves get a start. We need to try and manage him as well, don't we? We need to try and keep him fit as much as we can. He's not really played full league campaigns for a long time now due to injury problems, but there is a good player in there. And then looking further up at the top end of the pitch, Mika Mandron, that we've already mentioned, I think he'll be a really good focal point for us. I think he'll be a good goal scorer for us. Joe Bodie, been really impressed with him pre-season. Didn't really stand out against Dover. Really stood out against Portsmouth though. Started over Mika Mandron, who I don't think was match fit. Got an hour, was absolutely superb. And that was against 3 established centre-backs in League One. And he worked the channel really well. He bullied him at times. His first touch was absolutely superb. Everything that came into his chest or his feet stuck. He was bringing people into play, getting into good areas. He's got a turn of foot as well, which is really good. And then he got 25 minutes, half hour against Palace. No, sorry, I think he got 45 minutes, didn't he? Because there was a ball that got played over the top straight from centre, and I remember him chasing the centre half down, and he was involved in the goal, the first one. Good touch in the box and spin to get his shot off, which was blocked, and it led to Ollie Lee netting. So Joe Bodie at the moment is an interesting one for me. A lot further along, I think, in terms of development over someone like Matty MacArthur. Looks to have bulked up a lot. It's incredible to think he's only just turned 17. But for me, at the moment, because I think we still need a goalkeeper, obviously, to come in and compete with or be number one over Jake Turner. We need a centre-back. I think Will Wright will double up because we're not going to have a massive squad. So if we could get one more in, that'd give us Will Wright, Elkan Baggott, Max Emar. So that'd be 4. Aaron Pierre has been talked about. I think will be a cracking addition at this level. Really good for Wickham and Northampton a few years ago in League 2. Stepped up into League 1. Didn't quite work out last season at Shrewsbury and he's been released. But for me, Aaron Pierre, 29 years of old, if we could get him in, be an absolutely brilliant addition to the squad. And that, I think, would complete our defensive options. Further forward, we probably need another wide player. One that's interesting for me is Isaac Olaofe from Millwall. Wasn't involved in their squad on Saturday in their friendly against Ipswich Town. So did hear a whisper a couple of weeks ago that he might have been in talks, but it all went a bit quiet. But another one, done well at National League level with Sutton when they won the division. Scored 15 goals, I think. Got another 8 or 9 in League 2 last season. It's up to Millwall, I'd imagine, whether they want him to try and step up to League 1 level. But let's keep our fingers crossed that the Neil Harris link to the Lions might be able to swing it in our favour. Wouldn't be against that signing. Could he double up as a wide option as well? I think he played a few times from the side for Sutton last season, so that's one to keep an eye on. And we do need another out-and-out striker, don't we? The one that's been rumbling on all summer is Paul McCallum from Dagenham. Thought it was done, then it was dead, then it might be on, might be off. No one really knows what's going on. Neil Harris has come out and mentioned a couple of longer term targets might be coming into view now. So fingers crossed for a busy week in the run up to Wimbledon. But yeah, we certainly need 4 for me. Goalkeeper, centre-back, wide attacker and a centre-forward. We might need to try and find a centre midfielder if Stuart O'Keefe's out long term. But fingers crossed that the scan comes back as something fairly short term and he's back in the mix. And hopefully back training this week ahead of our visit to Plough Lane. But yeah, that is the squad where we're at so far. Fairly happy with what we've got. Certainly need to add more. Pre-season has been a mixture of first team fixtures and youth fixtures. I don't think there's really been any games where we've seen half being senior and then half being the youth players. We've integrated a few younger players while we're still trying to build the squad, but I think the youth group were allowed to go and do their own thing at Deal, Chatham, and then the first team group have gone and played the likes of Folkestone, Luton, Dover, Portsmouth, Palace, and then Southend. So it's been a really good set of fixtures, and fair play to Neil Harris, Dave Livermore and anyone else who was involved in getting them set of fixtures. We've had a really testing time, haven't we, from Luton through to Palace on Tuesday. Played Wednesday, Saturday, Tuesday night before finishing up Saturday with a win at Roots Hall. Results mean very little, I think, at this time of the year, but it's great to end pre-season on a high. Looking at Neil Harris's comments after the game against Southend, he said that he wanted a change of mentality. He wanted the primary focus to be us winning the football match, keeping a clean sheet, because that's what we're going to have to do for 46 games if we want to get back into League One sooner rather than later. So the fact that we've won 1-0, we've been put under pressure. Seems that Southend were the better side for certainly long periods of the first half before we gained more control second period, and then managed the game really well, looking at social media, to win 1-0. So that's a real promising sign. Scored against Luton, scored against Portsmouth, scored against Palace twice. Yes, there's work to be done defensively. We've already mentioned Elkan Baggott, diamond that needs polishing. That's why he's been sent on loan. Ryan Law coming in on loan, not massively experienced. Max Emar missed a couple of games pre-season because of a back problem, but fingers crossed he's now over that and we have him available for selection. It's all been a bit chop and change, but I think the Southend game gave us a bit more of a clue. There wasn't wholesale changes. I remember the Palace game, the Portsmouth game, there was like 5 or 6 after the hour, but I think Neil only made 3 or 4 throughout the entire game. So we're all getting an idea now of what we're probably going to line up as against Wimbledon in 7-6 days' time. But yeah, I thought the pre-season performances that I saw were really good. Dover, from box to box, we were absolutely spot on. But we was playing trialists, we didn't have a focal point. So then when it went into the dangerous area, we didn't have anyone who could put it in the net. We switched off twice for their goals, didn't we? Elkan Baggott, we've already mentioned. Then trialist Reece Greenwich absolutely snapped Lee Martin in half, and they scored from the free kick. Are really good at it. You can't do anything about that. Portsmouth, we were really good. We deserved something out of the game. A few Portsmouth fans said to me we deserved a draw at least. Harris wasn't happy with the fact that we switched off in the last minute. To counter that, though, you have to look at the size and the age of the back four at that time. It was, I think it was Gills, Carter, Baggott and Akers, so very, very young. But it's great that Neil wants them to learn quickly, needs them to realise that people are coming, paying good money to watch their team. So they don't want them to switch off. And ultimately, if you don't switch off, you pick up more points. Pick up more points and win more games, you're going to be higher up the table. And it's more enjoyable for all of us. Palace, I thought we probably gave them too much respect first half an hour. Saw ourselves 2-0 down. Looked like it was going to be a really long evening. Me and Boz said that on the match day live. But credit to all of us. Second half, we come out with real intensity. We got in their faces and went toe-to-toe with them. We pushed them back. We got Jordan Green on the ball. We got Ollie Lee on the ball. Ollie Lee's been a revelation, back in his natural position just off of a front man or front men. Yeah, like I said, Jordan Green was unplayable. Got back to 2 each. Probably deserved the draw. Jordan Green got caught up in the hustle and bustle of a little bit of an episode with Wilf Zaha, didn't he? Zaha was clever. Dangled the carrot. Green, unfortunately, dangled the leg and gave away a penalty. And we lost 3-2. But been some real positive signs. Defensively, we need to shore up still, I think. And the clean sheet will do us really good. Hopefully, we can have a free week on the training ground. No injuries. Potentially Stuart O'Keefe back, potentially a couple of signings. And then we go to Wimbledon, don't we? Full of excitement, full of belief and full of new hope. But yeah, pre-season serves a purpose. Some good performances, only 2 wins, 4 defeats. But yeah, some real signs of intent, signs of a change of style. I quoted after Dover, didn't I? And I said, no word of a lie, our defenders took the ball to feet off of our keeper more in 45 minutes than we did all of last season. And that's a theme that's followed on, and we're trying to play through the thirds. We know that we can hit Mika Mandron if we have to be more direct and we're getting pinned in. We know we can get Joe Gabodi to run in behind if we need to stretch things and get defenders on the half turn. But all in all, a really promising pre-season. Gills' top scorer for 2022-23 will be... It's going to be tricky, I think, this year. I think we're going to score plenty, just seeing the way we've played in pre-season. For the last few seasons, it's been fairly straightforward. Tom Eaves, Dane Oliver. Mika Mandron is the one that stands out in the squad at the moment. He will be a focal point like V. He will be a focal point like Tom. If we get good service from wide areas, like we did from Ollie Lee against Portsmouth when his header was tipped over the bar, like we've done, dare I say it, today at Southend where he's nodded in from a couple of yards out, then I think it'll be difficult to shift Mika as the top scorer. But I still think there might be someone that comes in. Maybe Paul McCallum. I don't know. I'm not in the know, so don't start messaging me, asking me loads of questions. Just hoping, keeping my fingers crossed, that there is maybe one marquee type signing. But if you're pushing me at the moment, I think our top scorer will be Mika Mandron. In terms of a key player, I've changed my mind over the last few days. I don't know if any of you listened to the lower league look that I appeared on last week. We was talking about key players on there, and I said Sean Williams, but I've been greedy because it's my show, so I can change what categories I talk about. I've changed my key player to Jordan Green, and the reason why, because he's got everything that we lacked last season. He's got pace, he's got a trick, he runs directly at defenders, gets in behind, he gets balls into the box from the final third instead of from the halfway line, which is predictable. He's fearless, something we weren't last season. I think he's going to chip in with a few goals. I certainly think he's going to provide a few assists. So for me, key player has to be Jordan Green. My new category, so I can talk about this player as well. It's my under-the-radar player for 22-23. Someone that will not grab the headlines, won't score loads, won't directly provide loads of assists, but I think will have a big influence on the pitch, on the training ground, in the dressing room. Will bring us loads of leadership, will bring us loads of know-how, loads of experience, a winning mentality. Former international, left-footed, Sean Williams. I think if we can keep him fit, and I'm not saying he's going to play 50 games, depending on how we do in the Cups, but I think if we can get him through 35 to 40 league games, then we can have a decent campaign. I've watched him 3 times, never looks flustered, always looks like he's got time on the ball, always finds a teammate, can go long when he needs to, can pick a diag, don't get me wrong, but Sean Williams looks to be that player that will keep it simple, he'll keep us ticking over. He'll make sure that back four, that back three is marshalled and protected, along with Stuart O'Keefe. But O'Keefe might have licence to get on a bit now, because he's got more legs than Williams, and that's no disrespect to Sean Williams, but he's about 5 years older than Stuart O'Keefe. So yeah, my under-the-radar player for 22-23 is going to be Sean Williams. Right. Final category that is solely Gills orientated before we look at the division as a whole. Final league position come next May for Neil Harris's men. And I'm basing this on signings, squad, pre-season, the manager, the coaching. And at the moment, I would have to say, I don't think we've quite got enough to gate crash the top 7 or the top 3. Purely because we don't have enough numbers. We've already mentioned it when looking at the squad. I've said that I'm happy with the transfers, but we've only got 18 at the moment. We've still only got 1 keeper. We've still only got 1 out-and-out striker. If these next 4 come in, the keeper I'm fairly relaxed about, don't get me wrong. You can find decent keepers at lower league level, 10 a penny. If we can get an Aaron Pierre type in, if we can get another tricky winger in that's going to be quick, provide goals and assists, if we can get another goal scorer in to complement Mika Mandron, then I think we'll go higher. But if these 4 players come in and they're just going to be squad members and they don't improve the 11, which I don't think will happen based on Neil Harris's comments, then we could probably slip down a couple of places. So for that reason, at the moment, I've got Gillingham finishing 8th place. On now to the division as a whole. Who will be champions? Who will be runners-up? Who will potentially do a Bristol Rovers and win 7-0 on the final day of the season? turning around a 5-goal swing to nick it off Northampton Town and break the hearts of cobblers everywhere. Who will finish mid-table? Who will just miss out on the playoffs? Who will jump into the playoffs? Who will have to go down into the National League? Who will just escape the drop? So many questions and so many answers for me this summer, and I've had to do a lot more research than normal, purely because we've not been in this division for a long time. There's a lot of new teams. I've had great fun talking to fans of clubs that we've not had to engage with over the last few seasons. It is only my opinion, so don't abuse me, please. But yeah, let us know why you think I've got your league's team's position correct. Let me know why I've got it wrong. But let's do it in the right way. I love having a chat about football. I mean, if you're still watching this now, you'll understand why. And I appreciate that if you've watched all this far, especially if you're a non-Gillingham fan and you've sat there and listened to my thoughts on our squad. But yeah, let's have a look at League Two. I'm going to start at the bottom and work my way up. So we'll start with the bottom 2 places. Apologies to fans of these clubs in advance. Like I say, it is just my opinion. But in 24th position, I have finishing bottom of the league this coming season is Barrow. I've looked at their form over the final period of last season, looked at their manager, looked at their signings. I like Pete Wild. I think he's relatively highly rated. Done a decent job at Oldham, I think it was a few seasons ago, in ridiculous circumstances. Dropped into non-league, he's now got his chance back in League Two. They lost 7 of their last 11 last season. Will they suffer something of a hangover? I know as a Gills fan, losing mentality is not great. It's hard to get out of. I've looked at their signings. I don't see any that jump off the page. So for that reason, unfortunately, I've got Barrow finishing in 24th position. And I'm one place above them and going down as well. I almost feel bad to say this. I watched a documentary about this club on BT Sport a couple of months ago called We Are Town, and that gives it away. Really likeable manager. His father's the chairman. Simon Weaver is who I'm talking about. But again, it's another team that really fell off the edge of a cliff last season. Only won 1 of their final 15 games in League Two. And I think season syndrome might become a thing, if it is a thing. Again, their signings, I don't see any that scream to me improving the 11. I'm not sure if they're going to score enough goals. So for that reason, in 23rd place, I've got Harrogate Town. Now, I'm going to work my way up. So if you've not been heard yet, your club, then you're still in the division. Or at least in the division, not going the wrong way. But we're going to work through briefly now, all the way up to the top 7. So in 22nd, I've got Crewe Alexandra, shadow of the team that came up into League One a couple of seasons ago. Shadow of the team that done really well to finish mid-table. Dave Artell's left, understandably so. Lost all their players. They've had the heart ripped out of the team that done so well. And that's how Crewe work. I understand that they bring these players through from their academy and they sell them on and they start again, but they have these cycles where they struggle. It means signings for me, I've not seen anything that says anything other than a season of really struggling in League Two, unfortunately. So I've got Crewe in 22nd. In 21st, I've got a side that I think are going to drop off compared to last season. They've lost their best player. He's moved into League One, I believe, with Peterborough. Sutton United, for me, are going to finish 21st. I just think, again, similarly to Harrogate, it'll be second season syndrome, and I think it'll be a season of struggle for Sutton. In 20th, I've got Colchester United, a bit lower than where they finished last season, but I don't think they've done enough in terms of recruitment. I've got a lot of ageing players. I know people joke about them becoming Ipswich B. So yeah, 20th for Col U. One place above is one of the promoted teams, and that's Grimsby Town. I think they'll be fine. Not saying they're going to trouble the top 7 or the top half, but I don't think they'll be in any real trouble. Got them in 19th. One place above them, I've got Paul Simpson's Carlisle. Again, smallish club at the level, aren't they? Not going to have a massive budget. Thomas Holy, former keeper's gone in there of ours. I think that'll improve them defensively. But whether it's enough to push into the top half, I can't see it. So I've got Carlisle United in 18th. One place above them, another fairly comfortable campaign for Hartlepool United. now under the tutelage of Paul Hartley. Got them in 17th. One standout signing for me, I think, is Callum Cook from Bradford. I think he'll improve their starting 11, so that's a decent bit of business. But again, can't see him trouble in the top half. So we've got them in 17th. 16th, Newport lost their top scorer, Dom Telford, to Crawley. Don't think they've replaced him sufficiently. They finished 11th last season. I think there'll be a drop-off this coming campaign, so got them in 16th. Rochdale I've got in 15th. I think they'll improve on last season. There's a couple of decent signings in there. I've got Ian Henderson back, absolutely loved and adored by the faithful at Spotland. So I'm sure he'll nick a few goals from again. And they've got Cameron John in, who was highly rated at Doncaster before injuries. Tumani Diakagura from Morecambe, I think, is a really good signing as well. So they're adding some steel and some experience to their team. I think Rochdale will be absolutely fine this season in 15th. 14th is another one of the relegated teams. I like their business. I like their manager. I just don't think they've done enough business, and they've lost their best player in Jack Rodoni. I'm talking about AFC Wimbledon. I think Chris Gunter, Alex Pearce, defensively will shore them up. They've signed the centre forward from Charlton, whose name escapes me, which is really annoying because it was on the tip of my tongue, for an undisclosed fee. So I think he'll do well. Done decent at Swindon last season, scored 9 goals. Josh Davison, I want to say. Forgive me if that's not completely correct. Carl Hoodlin, an interesting one to keep an eye on. I've been watching him for Solihull at the back end of last season in the National League as they got to the playoffs. Gone to Huddersfield, big money move, been loaned straight back to League Two. Be interesting to see how he goes. Tallest outfield player in England. 13th, I've got former Gills midfielder Mickey Flynn's Walsall. I think they'll improve a few places from last season. Done a lot of business. That means it may take a little time to gel, but there's a lot of teams that are going to be in a similar situation. One player that I think I really like, that I'd have liked Gills to have had a look at, is Liam Gordon, who was released by Bolton. That was a really good signing for me for Walsall. 12th, I've got Tranmere. Just don't see enough in their squad for them to be challenging for promotion this season. I've looked at their signings. They're all decent enough. Are they top 7, top 3? I'm not sure. I might be proved wrong. But yeah, in 12th place, I've got Tranmere. One place above them, I've got a team that have probably made one of the standout signings in the division, and that was George Moncur coming in from Hull City. Played about 15 times for them in the Championship last season, I believe. Really good signing for the O's. I think they finished 13th last time out, but have they got enough to really push on and gatecrash the top 7? They've not done loads of business, so in the sense that they've got a, continuity within the squad, that could be good, but I don't see enough for them to gatecrash the top 7 or higher. So I've got Leyton Orient in 11th. Another relegated team I've got in 10th. They've made a couple of signings in the last few days, which has just bumped them up a couple of places. I think they've just won their final pre-season game as well. They've done some decent bits in the transfer window. The big question mark for me is over their manager. That manager is Gary McSheffrey, still very, very inexperienced at the level. League Two is going to be rough and tumble, hustle and bustle. You're not going to have time to learn on the job, I don't think. So that's what's holding me back with putting Doncaster Rovers higher. But I've got them in 10th place. In 9th, I've got a team that finished in the playoffs last season. But I think they'll just finish a bit below that this time out. Harry McCurdy, if they can keep him, they're sure to have a fun campaign again. In 9th place, I've got Swindon Town. 8th, I've already mentioned, I've got the Gills. So now let's jump in to the top 7. I can see you fans of clubs that I've not mentioned. You're all excited, aren't you? And you should be. Well, you shouldn't, probably, because I'll probably get it horrifically wrong. But in 7th place, the final playoff position, this team, I think they've just got to get it right eventually, haven't they? They've been at this level for a few seasons now. They always threaten to get into the top 7 and push higher. They missed out just last season. They've got a new manager in. Comes in highly rated. Was at Manchester United, coaching in their academy and their under-23 side. Squad full of really experienced, really decent top half League Two pros, I think. They've added Elliot Watt, they've added Ryan Leake, and they've got a couple of unknowns coming in. I think if they hit the ground running, they could be really good signings, but obviously if it goes the other way, then not so much. Yeah, Neil Wood is their manager that I'm talking about. Can he do similar to the impact that another academy coach from Man United had at Ipswich in the league above last season in Kieran McKenna. I'm talking about Salford City, and I have them filling the final playoff place in 7th. In 6th place, I did mention these as a dark horse on the lower league look last weekend. Managed by our former boss. He loves a budget. You know what I'm talking about. I've got Stevenage sitting in 6th. Steve Evans, I think, will be decent at the level, regardless of whether you hate him or love him. I know the answer to that for most people. When he's backed by his chairman, he's very good at what he does. He'll ruffle feathers, he'll annoy people, he'll get on the nerves of everyone apart from Stevenage fans. He might even get on the nerves of Stevenage fans at some point, but I think their recruitment's been decent. Standout ones for me, Tay Ashby-Hammond, Aaron Chapman. I think their goalkeeping department's well solid. Highly rated Ashby-Hammond at Boreham Wood last season on loan from Fulham. Chappie was brilliant for us second half of the campaign. Michael Boswick, loads of leadership, loads of experience at the level above. Yes, he's getting on, but I still think he'd do a job in League Two. Jordan Roberts, we had on loan for a short period, can play through the middle, can play from the sides. I think he'll do fine at League Two level. Danny Rose, who Evans had at Mansfield, looks a clever signing. They've already got the likes of Luke Norris and Elliot List, 2 former Gills that Listy's come on leaps and bounds since leaving us 3 summers ago. Norris will hold it up, bring others into play. So for me, in 6th place is Stevenage. We then move into the top 5. This is my risky one. I think there is certainly potential for this to blow up and go horribly wrong. This team is backed by new American owners. That probably gives it away. There's question marks over their manager as well, coming in from Arsenal's academy, I think it is. It's Kevin Betsy. So yeah, in 5th place, I've got Crawley Town. They finished 11th last season, I think. I think they've got a decent enough squad. They've just added a bit to it. They've not lost too many. Dion Conroy comes in from Bristol Rovers, who got promoted out of this division last season. Brandon Mason, left-sided. I think left-back, wing-back, can play midfield. Looks a clever signing. Was at Coventry a couple of years back. I think Gills were linked to him last summer, but nothing materialised. The big one, obviously, has to be Dom Telford. 26 goals last season, I think it was, for 11th place Newport. If you can replicate them numbers, they're going to be a real force. And you'd think that if they're in and around the top 7, 8, 9 at Christmas, they're going to be back again in the January transfer window. So for that reason, I've got Crawley Town in 5th place. Jumping up 4th, agonisingly missing out on the automatic promotion spaces. And I know a few of their fans are probably going to jump on me for this. I've got Bradford City. Yes, I think they've signed well. Yes, I think they've recruited well. Yes, they've got Mark Hughes as their manager. But the big drawback for me is he's never managed at this level. They were still fairly inconsistent when Hughes took over last season. I think they went on a run of 3 or 4 wins, then they'd lose a few. But Dane Oliver stands out as a signing at this level. I have to say that. I don't have to say that. He's been very good for Gills for 2 seasons at the level above. He got promoted out of this division with Northampton before joining us. So he'll score goals in League Two. Jamie Walker, Richie Smallwood, incredible signing at the levels. Played 40 plus games for Hull in the Championship last season. Ryan East was one I looked at for the Gills. He's got him from Swindon. Harry Chapman. Like I say, there's just the Mark Hughes factor holding me back. And it's not because I don't think he can be a good manager in this level. I just think it's that EFL football is completely different to the Premier League, which is where Mark Hughes, Sparky has solely operated. So for that reason, and the fact that they've got a lot of points to make up on from last season's 14th place finish to get into the top 6 or 7, means I've got Bradford City finishing 4th. You should be sitting there like this. Now, if you've not heard your team name mentioned, we are into the top 3, the automatic promotion spaces. I feel like I need like Top of the Pops countdown music for it, but you just have to listen to me rabbit on for a few more minutes. In 3rd place, a team that missed out by the barest of margins in this division last season. All they had to do was protect a 7-goal swing, I think it was, on the final day, or a 5-goal swing. They went to Barrow and won 3-1, I think, did their job, only to sit and watch on in horror as Bristol Rovers smacked already relegated Scunthorpe United for 7 and nick that final promotion space. Maybe it's a little bit of heart over head, I don't know. I've tried to look at it as objectively as possible. They've made some good signings. Lee Burge comes in, played decent amount of games for Sunderland at the level above. Sam Sherring on loan as well, looks like a clever bit of business. Standout one, I think, is Danny Hilton. He will score goals if you feed him properly and give him good service. We're still doing it for Luton in the Championship not so long ago. 3 really clever bits of business. The squad's not been tinkered with too much, which I think is a good sign. The only slight question mark will be how much missing out on the final day affected them. Obviously, they went and lost in the playoffs after that. But I've got Northampton Town going up automatically this season, in 3rd position. Runners up. Now then, that means it's a team, and there's lots of them that have done it over the last few seasons in League Two, that have come up from the National League and just kept improving, just kept going straight into League One. And I think this team will do it this season, and that is Stockport County. They've got a Football League squad already. We know they're well backed, but you still have to go and play every week, Saturday, Tuesday. You know, going to places that are horrible to play against in the wind and the rain in the middle of winter and dig out results. And they kept doing that, and they deservedly won the National League last season. They've got quality in abundance. Sarcevic, Madden, plenty of really good footballers. They'll score plenty of goals, I feel. They've added Callum Camps, which will bring creativity, goals and assists in the middle of the park. Fraser Horsfall, they've nicked off of Northampton Town, a direct promotion rival for me. So that tells you the pulling power of Dave Challoner's Stockport County. Not enough to be champions for me, but runners up, I've got down Stockport County. And finally, the champions of League Two come next May. No expense spared with the special effects on this one. Nigel Clough's Mansfield Town, for me, are going to win the division and get promoted back into League One. Made a couple of really clever bits of business, I think, in Christy Pym and Hiram Boateng, who've been, you know, decent for a few years now. League Two, League One. Nigel Clough knows the level. He's been round the block loads of times. His squad only just missed out last season on promotion. They've not really had to do too much with it. I think if they have a good start, they could be difficult to reel in. I'm not saying they're going to win it by, you know, a million miles or anything like that, because League Two is going to be tough for all of us. But I just think the manager's good at the level. They're backed sufficiently at the level. They already have a good squad for the level. They've added a couple that will improve them at the level. So for me, 2022-23 League Two champions will be Mansfield Town. Thank you again if you are still watching at this point. It has been a fairly long video. I wanted to do plenty of research. I wanted to go into it as much depth as possible without boring people to sleep. As I've said, it is my opinion. Let us know at the end of the video on YouTube down below why I've got your team in the correct position, why I've got them in the wrong position, why you're going to get promoted and not struggle. I'm sure there won't be many people that are going to say, oh, I think we're going to finish miles lower than you've told us. But yeah, it's been great fun. I'm really looking forward to League Two now. Obviously, that's not something I said 3 or 4 months ago when we got relegated on the final day. But such is life. We have to embrace it head on. And I am looking forward to it. I think we'll be a better football club and a better football team this season. Whether we have enough to gate crash the top 7, the top 3 remains to be seen at the moment. I still think we're a bit short. If you're new to the channel and you have watched this all the way through, then thank you. Please drop a like. Please hit that subscribe button. Be looking to do some general League Two shows throughout the season. Not sure how regular that is, so I'll be looking for fans of opposition clubs to come on and chat with us on Zoom. That's something I really want to do because I do enjoy the multi-person format. But yeah, thanks again. Thanks for the continued support throughout the summer. I did put a tweet out a couple of days ago. The videos have been so well received over pre-season, and it is really appreciated. Right, that is enough from me. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. It's nearly back. Pre-season is done. Next Saturday, League Two will be back in full swing. We will be all travelling up and down the country, full of belief that it is our year. But ultimately, only 3 teams will go up automatically. Only 1 more will have the glory at Wembley. And 2, sadly, will have to suffer relegation. But that is football. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all soon. And until next time, up the Gills.